Hi, my name is Christopher Winbun with FLIR's TCX Training Department. Today's video will cover the FLIR IP and MPX remote access setup process. Let's first begin by talking about what you'll need to accomplish this. You'll need a router and high-speed internet access. The internet access should be capable of delivering 3 megabits per second with respect to upload speeds. An Ethernet cable will need to be connected between your NVR and router. You'll also want to make sure that the latest firmware, client software, and mobile app are downloaded and installed before you begin. When accessing your video from FLIR Cloud, you can do so from almost any device. This includes the iPhone and/or iPad, Android-powered phones and tablets, a PC using FLIR Cloud's client software, and the Mac using FLIR Cloud client software. We'll talk a little bit about where you can download this software in the next slide. You'll first begin by navigating your way to FLIR.com. Use the toolbar at the top of the screen to navigate to Products and Security, and then Products and Software. This will bring you to the information page on FLIR Cloud. You'll find at the bottom of the screen download links for both PC and Mac software versions. During the setup process we'll begin in just a few minutes, we'll also talk about some basic troubleshooting procedures. If you're having trouble connecting, you may want to try the following. First, restart your NVR. Check to make sure that the connection between the router and your NVR or DVR has been connected correctly. Ensure you have the correct username and password. Confirm the client port settings. As notated here on this slide, default port is 35,000. Make sure all firmware, software, and apps are the latest release. And lastly, if you have a slow connection speed, you may want to reduce the quality settings of the substream. We will cover this in the tutorial. Now let's move on and see how this is configured within our NVR. Now, from our DVR, the first thing we'll want to do is make sure that a few settings are updated and set up correctly. We'll first need to access the menu of the NVR. If this is the first time you're setting up your unit, simply right-click on the screen and go down to where it shows Main Menu. The default password when logging in is 000000, enter, and then OK to log into your NVR. On the toolbar, we'll first be accessing the Settings tab. Under the Settings tab, we can check the network settings. Up at the top, under TCP/IP, you'll see that the NVR is currently set up to utilize DHCP. If you'd like to provide a static IP address to your NVR, you may simply uncheck this box and fill out the necessary information on this page. Once we've verified the TCP/IP settings for our NVR, we can take a quick look at the Connections tab. Under the Connections tab, you'll see a few additional settings that we referred to back in the beginning of the presentation, including the ports the NVR uses to communicate. From here, the next step, being completely optional, I would recommend testing the connection of the NVR to the outside world. This can be accomplished by simply exiting the main settings window. If you've made any changes, you'll want to apply those changes before leaving, and then click on the OK button to depart. The next area we'll focus on in the menu is the Info tab. Under the Info tab, you'll also find another network option. By accessing the network from the Info tab, gives you the ability to test the connection. You can insert a destination IP. In this case, I'm going to use something very simple, like perhaps the DNS server address for Google, which is 8.8.8.8. We can go ahead and test that and make sure that we're getting replies from that server. This now verifies that we have network connectivity. With our NVR now set up, we'll need to turn our attention to our app that we'll utilize to connect to the NVR. In this demonstration, I'll be using an iPhone to connect to the NVR for the very first time. Okay, now from our iPhone, the first thing we'll want to do is access the iTunes Store. So we'll go ahead and access the App Store. Search for the category. Let's go ahead and search for FLIR. That should be enough information to get us exactly what we need. And in just a few short seconds, we should be able to find what we're looking for. Let's go ahead and install the FLIR Cloud. Okay, now with our app set up, we'll have just a couple things that we'll need to set up to get started. Okay, first thing we'll need to do is get signed up. Now with our user credentials in place, we can click the Sign Up button, and we have the basic view of our FLIR cloud. We'll now need to go and set up the app to communicate with our NVR. To do so, we'll click on the menu button up at the top left-hand corner of the screen. Go to Device Manager and click on the plus button on the right-hand side to add a device to the list. The simplest and easiest way to connect your FLIR IP NVR or MPX DVR is to scan the QR code that's found at the front of the unit. You can also enter the device ID manually if you choose. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and scan the QR code. So all I'll do is click on the Scan QR Code line, allow my camera to access. As you'll see, it will automatically register the device ID. One of the first steps is to change the name or add the name to the NVR. This can be anything that you choose. We'll also want to double check the client port to ensure that it is matching the server. Remember this information we looked at earlier as we were navigating the menus. You'll also want to update the username and the password that was set in your NVR. Once all of your information has been entered, a simple click of the Connect button should allow you to connect directly to your NVR. Now, because I was using the default password that was supplied with the NVR, immediately it asked me to change that password before I can continue on. Again, a great safety measure that's in place for you. So our new password, we'll just put in something simple so we don't forget it, because this is our admin password and it's extremely important that we don't misplace or lose our admin password for the system. So let's go ahead and let's update that, and now we should be able to connect directly to our NVR. Okay, and there we have it. The three images that were currently connected to the IP are in full view here in our FLIR Cloud app. If you're interested in learning how to navigate the FLIR Cloud app more in-depthly, be on the lookout for additional training videos that can be found at FLIR.com/security. Navigate to the training page and look for online learning content. Thank you.